Okay, welcome. This is a long promised Twotenny and I for a video. This is going to be a very deep video. It's going to describe everything involving me, locomotive Metra 210, number 210, and something else. So let's get ready. Okay, to start off, I'm just going to list the things that have a hidden links between the story of Twotenny and I. So I'm going to start here first with American Pharoah. This was the horse that became the first horse in 37 years to win the U.S. Thoroughbred Horse Racing Triple Crown in 2015. So this is where I'm going to start. Well, on June 6, 2015, American Pharoah became the 12th horse to win Thoroughbred Racing's Triple Crown, and the first to do so in 37 years. On the day that he won the Belmont Stakes, I was making preparations for my 666 party, which honored the connections that the number 6 has with my life and METX 210. Those connections being the 4-year anniversary of METX 210 being put into my life, the 1-year anniversary of me being spiritually married to METX 210, the launching of my most successful YouTube account named after Twotenny. And something major involving Twotenny and I occurred in June, the 6th month of the year, for 3 straight years, 2011, 2012, and 2013, making 3 sixes. Plus, Twotenny has 3 sixes in its serial number. The day that American Pharoah won the Belmont Stakes and that I held my 666 party was 6/6/2015. Write it as 6/6/15 and you'll get 666. I'll show you. 6. There you go. And American Pharoah became the 12th horse to win the Triple Crown. 2 plus 10 equals 12. And I got into thoroughbred horse racing at the age of 12 in 1999, 16 years earlier. American Pharoah became the first horse in 37 years to win the Triple Crown. And 3 times 7 equals 21. 210 without the 0. American Pharoah became the first Grand Slam champion in October 2015. METX 210's 23rd birth month by winning the Breeders' Cup Classic at Keeneland Racetrack in Lexington, Kentucky. At that time, locomotive METX 210 had turned 23 years old. Another interesting thing to note is that American Pharoah was born on February 2nd, 2012, 8 days before February 10th. Ironically, on 2/2/2012, I mentioned something about locomotive METX 210 on Twitlonger. Another thing about when American Pharoah was born. He was born in 2012, a year in which the number 210 appears twice. Forwards if you flip the 0 and the 1, and backwards if you flip the 0, 1, 2. Now, staying on the horse racing spectrum of things, what ties does the 2013 Kentucky Derby winner, Orb, have with Metra 210 and I and the number 210? This is not as strong as that with American Pharoah, but it's still notable. What ties that Orb has with number 210 are: the horse was born in the year 2010, and the word orb, which is spelled O-R-B, equals 210 in Sumerian Gematria. The ties that Orb has with METX 210 and I is that this horse, whose name equals 210 in Sumerian Gematria, won the Kentucky Derby in 2013, the year that I discovered some of my many ties to Metra 210. The year that I discovered numerology. Gematria was discovered early in 2014. And it was the year that I unwillingly decided to become spiritually betrothed to METX 210. Some may want to know, what ties does the latter half of the 2005 Preakness Stakes have with a phrase of empowerment that I applied to my train theory, world peace doctrine, just a few months after I reaccepted it on September 2nd, 2008. I'll mention the train theory later on. The horse that eventually won the race, a Fleet Alex, made a rally around the far turn but was cut off by the horse Scrappy T as they approached the home stretch. A Fleet Alex almost fell down but miraculously recovered and won the race by about 5 lengths. The empowerment phrase that this incident has ties to is charge hard, never die, bring on the brutality, and come see the light. A Fleet Alex charged before nearly falling, but he recovered to open up a big lead on the other horses in the home stretch of the Preakness and won the race. Ironically, that empowerment phrase, has a connection with the number 210. Watch this. There we go. A Fleet Alex rally, charge hard. A Fleet Alex near tragedy and recovery, never died. That was the 2 of the part. A Fleet Alex increased down home stretch, bring on the brutality. Fleet Alex victory, come see the light. 210. Read, look, learn, and understand. Before discovering numerology, I thought of the things I equate with the number 210, and then thought of that empowerment phrase that I gave to my train theory in 2009, and I quickly saw the similarities. Remember, some of the many things I associate with number 210, based on the way that the number looks, is getting through obstacles regardless of how tough they may be, succeeding and exceeding expectations. That also ties to the latter half of the 2005 Preakness Stakes. The way how is shown near the bottom of the opposite page, the page I just showed. Now that brings us to the final part of the horse racing segment. What ties to the number 210 does horse racing have? It's the way that the races are run. They're often short, quick, and a whole lot of strategy is executed amongst the contenders and their handlers. If a horse is dead last in a field of 14 and looks to win with just 3/8 of a mile left in the race, he needs to kick it into gear and rally before his time is up. This is very analogous to what I equate with the number 210 in regards to individual empowerment. Time is short, and if you want to get through your obstacles and succeed, you need to put your foot into it and seize every opportunity you can to get there before time runs out. And now here's something that links the sport of horse racing with locomotive METX 210 and I. In April 1999, exact date is unknown, I discovered the sport of horse racing. At the time, I was 12 years old and Twotenny was 6 years old. Now, the number 666 is big in the story of Metra 210 and I. If you flip the 9s in a year 1999, you will get 666. So there are the links involving horse racing and my Triple T. Number 210 and Metra 210 and I. Now, get ready for this. I will mention why later on in this video, but the year 2016 was a big year numerologically for both me and METX 210 due to the deep, accurate numerological ties between us. Because I mentioned the striking similarities between us and the number 210 and my Triple T in the sport of horse racing, I am going public with this prediction. Thoroughbred Racing's next Triple Crown winner was born in 2016. He will win Thoroughbred Racing's Triple Crown in 2019. 2019 will be the final year in a decade known as the 2010s. Not only is 210 seen in the year 2019, but so is the number 9. Another number with many links to METX 210 and I, and my triple T doctrine. And also, add all the single digits of 2019 and you get 12. And 2 plus 10 equals 12. In the year 2016, I finally got the opportunity to attend live horse racing when I went to Hawthorne Racecourse in Cicero, Stickney, Illinois on the second day of the 2016 Breeders' Cup World Thoroughbred Championships, and it was worth the wait. Now let's move on to links that some of the recent championships of several sporting events have with the number 210. I will go in chronological order and start with the 2005 Major League Baseball World Series won by the Chicago White Sox. The theme song used during the White Sox championship run was Don't Stop Believing by Journey. What connection does this have with what I equate with the number 210, you might ask? Remember, I associate greatness with number 210. Greatness, prosperity, rising to high levels after getting through obstacles that are the most debilitating, actualizing dreams and goals. Add the title of that song to those assimilations. Don't Stop Believing. When the White Sox won the 2005 World Series, I was 19 years old, and Metra 210 had just turned 13 years of age. Yes, that's right. The Chicago White Sox became World Series champions during the month that METX 210 was built. Now let's turn our attention briefly to the 2006 National Hockey League's Stanley Cup Finals between the Carolina Hurricanes and Edmonton Oilers. The last time that the Carolina Hurricanes reached the Stanley Cup Finals was in 2012 versus the Detroit Red Wings. 2002, I mean. Throughout the Hurricanes' playoff run in 2002, I constantly found myself thinking and saying, why am I rooting for this team? Why am I rooting for them? I never found out, but I remained a fan of the team. 2002 was the year that I abandoned my train theory on January 8th of that year. 2002 was the year that METX 210 was last overhauled. And 2002 was the same year that I moved to the 1620 address for the first time. And 1620 contains the numbers 2106, 2106. And do not forget, I was 6 years old when METX 210 was built in October 1992. Around the same time that the Chicago White Sox won the World Series, the 2005-2006 NHL regular season was about to begin. Throughout the season, the Carolina Hurricanes incorporated the slogan, whatever it takes. That slogan has a connection with many of the things that I equate with the number 210, just like the words of the theme song used for the Chicago White Sox 2005 championship run, Don't Stop Believing. Using the slogan, whatever it takes, paid off for the Carolina Hurricanes in 2006 because in June of that year, the Canes won the Stanley Cup in a grueling 7 games. I may have been born and raised here in Chicago, but for as long as I've been exposed to football, I've always been a fan of the Green Bay Packers, but never have I been a fan of the Chicago Bears. At the end of the 2010 NFL season, the Green Bay Packers were among the best in the league. In February 2011, the Packers won the Super Bowl. The connection? In late 2010, early 2011, the transition of METX 210 and its older sibling, METX 185, to the Metra Union Pacific lines had occurred. The year 2010 is related to the number 210. Okay. Now, there's a connection between WWE wrestler Daniel Bryan and the number 210. In the year 2014, the 210-pound Bryan rose to the top of the wrestling world with his victory in WrestleMania 2014. The slogan he used during his championship run was "Yes." During his match with Randy Orton and Batista in WrestleMania 30, Bryan was repeatedly brought down by those two, including slammed through a table. While being strapped to a gurney, Bryan broke loose and tackled both of his opponents for the final time, winning the WWE World Heavyweight title. What connections does this have with the number 210? Daniel Bryan weighed 210 pounds, won WrestleMania 30. Now, 2 plus 1 plus 0 equals 3, or 30, and 3 plus 0 equals 3. And at 210-pound, Daniel Bryan rose to the top, despite the odds against him. One of my many equations with the number 210 is rise to the top. And his slogan, "Yes," relates strongly with my personal views of the number 210 as a number of strength and empowerment, and overcoming odds and beating expectations. During the same event, WrestleMania 30, The Undertaker went into it with a record of 21-0 at WrestleMania. 21-0. That's another 210. I rooted for The Undertaker because of that, but unfortunately, he exited the event with a record of 21-1. Now let's move on to something that's much more recent. The 2016 World Series of the Major League Baseball between the Chicago Cubs and Cleveland Indians. Now, I have always been a fan of the Chicago White Sox, but never have I been a fan of the Chicago Cubs. During the World Series, I joked that I was rooting for the Cubs because the team's colors are the same as the colors that METX 210 currently wears. But I had a more legitimate reason to root for the Cubs. After hearing a story that a professional numerologist predicted that the Cubs would win the World Series, I thought, since numerology is so accurate in so many things in this world, regardless of how many people may disagree, I am rooting for the Cubs because I want and need to see numerology being proven right again. My want and need came true. Numerology was proven to be right again when the Cubs won a World Series for the first time in 108 years. The connection between METX 210 is that the team colors of the Chicago Cubs are the same colors of METX 210, but another connection can be found using the esoteric science of Metra, which is similar to numerology. Now, for the longest, I referred to Twotenny as Metra's greatest locomotive ever. Metra proved me right when the numerical values of the phrase in Jewish, English, and simple Gematria, according to the Gematrix.org site, matched numbers relating to Metra Locomotive 210. Now, the phrase 2016 World Series equals 2100 in English Gematria and 350 in simple Gematria. And that those are the exact same numerical values as the phrase Metra's greatest locomotive ever. As I just mentioned, the Chicago Cubs have the exact same colors as METX 210. And this leads to the final thing involving sports and the story of Metra 210 and I. And when it comes to implications that several professional sports championship series have with the number 210. There is something that the 2016 NBA Finals, 2016 MLB World Series, and the 2017 Super Bowl all have in common with something that I equate with the number 210. That's something that they have in common with something I equate with the number 210 is something that they have in common with one another. In 2016, the Cleveland Cavaliers, Chicago Cubs, and the New England Patriots all won the championship series and became champions of their league's 2016 season by coming from behind and rising to the top. The phrase "rise to the top" is one of the phrases that I equate with the number 210. In the year 2016 and in February 2017, the sports world got a first-hand glimpse of something that I associate with number 210. The number that I call either the most powerful triple-digit number known to mankind or the greatest triple-digit number known to mankind, for a reason. I have said many times before that the number 210 is very prevalent in my life, and it is, and I wouldn't have known it if it weren't for the great METX 210 being in my life. I've also said that Twotenny being in my life helps blow wide open my knowledge of the occult from previous levels. This helped me see the true meaning of the number 210. Not only just the true meaning of the number 2, not only was the true meaning of the number 210 discovered, but also its connection to many other things. And here's a very seemingly unlikely coincidence. Locomotive METX 210 was born in October 1992, perhaps late in the month because its older twins, 208 and 209, were also built in October 1992, and younger twins, 2011 and 2012, were built in November 1992. And guess what happened at the beginning of that very same month, November 1992? The 210 area code went in effect for the area for San Antonio, Texas, and the area around it. It's funny because 210 is an enclave area code, very, very similar to area code 312 here in Chicago. And there's a big connection with that. For my childhood home that I spent the first 12 years of my life, our phone number stayed 312, even despite the area code change to 773. So isn't that kind of interesting? And staying on geographical connections with the number 210, I recently discovered that there are many zip codes in Maryland that begin with 210. And these places, the vast majority of these places have a high median household income. What is interesting is, and I'm sure people watch that stupid 90s show, zip code 210 is in Beverly Hills, and this is home to Rodeo Drive, luxury shopping district. And then in Boston, Massachusetts, there are these zip codes, and they are home to many places of America's first settlers, including Paul Revere and Samuel Adams. And this is huge because, as mentioned earlier, this has a lot in common with what I equate the number 210 with, a number of prosperity and greatness, the best, the top, all of that. And here's a funny thing. When it comes to these towns in Maryland that begin with the zip code number 210, it's funny because in 2002, the Maryland Terrapins won the NCAA Men's Basketball Division I title. 2002 was the year I dumped my train theory doctrine on January 8th, 2002. 2002 was the year that I moved to the 1620 address, and as I said, the numbers in that flipped around. 1620, that's 2106. And I was 6 years old when METX 210 was built. Also, speaking of METX 210, 2002 was the year that it was last overhauled. So for you folks in Maryland with the zip codes that begin with 210, you got a hidden connection with me, number 210, and locomotive METX 210, just like you folks down in San Antonio and Beverly Hills and in downtown Boston. Yep. Whether you guys know it or not, number wise, that is. In November 2016, the U.S. presidential elections were held. Billionaire businessman Donald John Trump became the nation's 45th president over Hillary Rodham Clinton. This event, like every other mentioned in this video, has a link to the story of METX 210 and I and the number 210. In 2011, the year that I met Twotenny, supposedly someone prophesied that Donald Trump will become president of the United States in 2016. That someone happened to be a retired firefighter, as the story goes. It happened. Another astounding link is that I discovered just months before the election using the occult science of Metra. No, is what I discovered. If you go into the gematrix.org website and type in the term Baroness and Twotenny, one of the very first matching phrases under the English and simple Gematria list is President Donald Trump. Another below that is Can't Stump the Trump. Another interesting link in Gematria involves the phrase married to a locomotive, and that would be me. A matching phrase to that in Jewish Gematria happens to be the beast within. And a matching phrase to that in English and simple Gematria happens to be Make America Great Again. Interesting. And after Trump's presidential victory, I ordered a mug which said Trump Train. And this is it right here. Now, as you can see, the locomotive on it looks very much like a Metra F40PH. And it also has the same colors as Metra's previous universal paint scheme. And about a week before the presidential election, and shortly after the Chicago Cubs won Major League Baseball's World Series, I posted a tweet on Twitter about what I would say to Metra 210 if it had ears and could understand me. That tweet read, "We have one more victory, and it's next week." I was referring to Trump becoming president, and I referred to it as a victory due to a Gematria connection between Trump becoming president and METX 210 and I. That connection I just mentioned. And from an average Joe to businessman, to billionaire, to the President of the United States. That's what Donald Trump has done during his lifetime. And I couldn't find that dang picture. But I dedicated a picture of a bracelet I made of my equations with the number 210 to him on the day of his 71st birthday, June 14, 2017. That date also turned out to be a 210 date. Add 6, which is June's number, to 14 to get 20. Add the single digits of the year, 2017, 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 7 to get 10. Put the 20 next to the 10, you get 2010, a mimic of the number 210. A joke. I've never made it public until now, but I said, because of the Baroness and Twotenny, President Donald Trump, Gematria connection, if Donald Trump becomes president, he should send me $210,000. It was only a joke. No one out there owes me a damn thing. This leads us back to 2011 and another political incident. The death of former North Korean President Kim Jong-il. Ironically, the totalitarian dictator died of a heart attack on a train. When I got word of the event, I thought, maybe this is a preview of what will happen after I leave this earth. For years, random visions of political dictators dropping dead after I left this earth often came to mind. And at age 9, I created a world peace theory wholly based on watching the trains pass my home, called the train theory, aka Triple T or T-DRE. One part of Triple T calls for the eradication of all bad people, from regular individuals to political dictators, to achieve and maintain world peace. And this part stems from my discovery of what happened to rail cars and engines of trains that were deemed irreparable or causing problems for the trains. When I created T-DRE, I envisioned the rail cars and engines of trains as human beings because we can connect to one another by holding hands, like rail cars connect to one another by the knuckles. Two types of trains led me to create this, and they were freight trains on the adjacent Union Pacific Rockwell sub, well, adjacent to my home, pretty much, and the Metra trains on the nearby Union Pacific West Line, Geneva sub. As of late August 1995, the Chicago Transit Authority Green Line L trains weren't running at all due to reconstruction. So what does my train theory have to do with locomotive Metra 210 and number 210? Stay tuned to find out the answers, because there are more than one. The year 2001 is proof that the number 210 is my life number. I say this because of the 100% accuracy that numerology has in my life. In the year 2001, I was 14 and 15 years old. 14 times 15 is 210. The year 2001 relates to 201. The similar year 2010 relates to 210. Unlike 2010, 2001 for me was very bad for me, although not as bad as a year as 1995. 2010 was bad for me financially, but everything else was alright. Now, like those in 1995, major disasters of 2001 influenced my train theory. One of the biggest being the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001. The stress resulting from that senseless, unnecessary tragedy and the subsequent anthrax biochemical terrorist attacks built up in me over time. On January 8, 2002, after being evicted from the 3327 address due to bullshit that my mother instigated with the landlord throughout 2001, my sadness and depression worsened. On that day, I made the terrible decision to abandon the train theory. After thinking, this world will never accept my world peace doctrine based on trains. Soon after, and up until September 2nd, 2008, I believed in and followed some of everything, all of it being the wrong thing, and that was never meant for me. Those things included ideologies that completely contradicted my T-DRE, such as anarchism and nihilism. My life as a follower of anything other than my Triple T or things that it's against was mostly hell. Not much good stuff occurred in my life between 2002 and 2008. The best thing that occurred was me graduating high school. Other than that, I can't really say too much. I had issues with low self-esteem and low self-confidence, not caring much about my future, and almost getting in trouble with the law in late 2006. And after I reaccepted T-DRE on September 2nd, 2008, things in my life slowly improved for the better. In January 2009, I once again was a full-time follower of my Triple T, completely dumping all of the contradictory ideologies that I used to follow. And it does not matter what anyone says or thinks or how they may feel. I will never ever again dispose of my train theory. It's part of my full life purpose, and I'm more than proud to know this. At around 5 in the morning on February 10th, 2010, that's 2/10/2010, an earthquake measuring 4.3 on the Richter scale hit northeastern Illinois. The epicenter was located not far from Virgil, Illinois, which is near Elgin. According to a Wikipedia article on the event, the earthquake was felt as far away as Tennessee and Georgia. The earthquake was later downgraded to a 3.8 magnitude from 4.3. It was determined to have come from a lesser known and a far less active fault line located near Sandwich, Illinois. The New Madrid fault line in southern Illinois is more well known and is more active. And here is the connection between METX 210, number 210, and I. The earthquake occurred on February 10th, 2010, which translates to 2/10/2010. The number 210 occurs twice in the date, and 4.3 translates to 43. 43 is a resulting number of each single digit number in my Social Security number when added up. The earthquake was later downgraded to 3.8. 16 months after the earthquake occurred, I saw locomotive METX 210 between milepost 3.7 and 3.82 on the Union Pacific Geneva subdivision. And speaking of Metra 210, when the earthquake hit near Elgin on 2/10/2010, Metra 210 was assigned to the Metra Milwaukee District lines. The lines are the Milwaukee District North line, which goes to Fox Lake, the North Central Service line, which goes to Antioch, the Heritage Corridor, which goes to Joliet, and the Milwaukee District West line, which goes to Elgin. Where Twotenny may have been when the earthquake hit, I do not know. Now, staying on the date of February 10th, which is 2/10. Now, 2/10/2015 was a great day overall for me. But in the evening hours, I held a moment of silence for the 5 victims who were needlessly killed in the Metro North accident in Valhalla, New York, 7 days earlier. And this terrible incident happened 1 full week before 2/10 Day. Plus, it was the 3rd horrible incident to happen on the Metro North Commuter Railroad. If you watched the Twotenny and I Dream video, you may have heard me discuss my plans to move to Northwest Connecticut after I buy Twotenny and operate it along the Waterbury branch of the Metro North Commuter Railroad. And that is a diesel-only line. Metro North mimics Metra in some ways. It also has a locomotive number 210, but it's a P32 AC. That's MNCR number 210. The Metro North accidents in Valhalla, Connecticut, and Spoitsville saddened me. And what's crazier? During my vacation in Newark, New Jersey, and New York City in September 2013, I couldn't ride the Metro North line like I wanted to because Con Ed blew a transformer, killing service on several Metro North lines. The Valhalla incident has a hidden connection with an incident that hit METX 210 in April 2015. Now pay strong attention to the numerology here. 210 plus 210 equals 420. And because METX 210 and I share the number 210, I made plans to go out to eat on April 20th, 420. On 4/2, 2015, I made plans to go see Twotenny near Roosevelt and Canal, but I changed my mind because I couldn't find a coupon that I so desperately wanted to use at a store located near the tracks. I stayed in my area instead. And funny thing, on 4/2/2015, a quasi 420 date, I went to the Broadview, Illinois Family Dollar store down the street from where I lived and bought a few items. And did you know that the total purchase price came out to be $4.20? Yep, no kidding. And on Monday, April 6, 2015, a full 2 weeks before 4/20/2015, I had a strange feeling about something all day, and it got worse as the day progressed. Something just did not feel right. I didn't know what it was. The terrible feelings prompted me to cancel visiting friends who live in southwest suburban Orland Park, Illinois, the following day. I didn't find out what it was until around 10:45 p.m. on 4/6/2015. Someone submitted a post in my Metra rail group on Facebook that METX 210 suffered a catastrophic engine failure at Worth Station along the Southwest service line. And knowing what time the trip that it was on would arrive at Worth, the incident had to have happened sometime between 5:10 and 5:15 p.m. It wasn't long before that I canceled plans to visit friends in Orland, served by the Southwest service line. When I discovered that Twotenny suffered a catastrophic failure, I immediately experienced a full-blown panic attack for the first time in almost 11 full years, due to my unfamiliarity with the term catastrophic failure. I expected the worst due to the words that make up the term, especially the first. Rapid heartbeat and breathing, tunnel vision, and numbness and shaking in the hands were some of the symptoms I experienced that night. These were the exact same symptoms that I experienced in June 2004, the last time I had a full-blown panic attack, and that resulted from getting word that my grandmother passed away. Another panic attack occurred, although not as bad as that, of April 6th, on April 15th, when I received word that Twotenny experienced another catastrophic failure. And 2 days before the April 15th incident, I caught METX 210 on the 6:15 p. Southwest service departure from Chicago Union Station. When 210 throttled up, a severe amount of white smoke came from the exhaust stack. It was a nearly blown turbocharger. On April 15th, 210's issues got worse when either the turbocharger or another piston gave out. I saw a comment on a post in my Metro Rail group on Facebook that the incident resulted in flames coming from Twotenny. That sparked another panic attack in me, plus additional physical issues. Over the next several days, I experienced stomach pain, breast pain, eye pain, plus mild depression. The Sunday night following the April 15th incident, that would be April 19th, when I had this dream in which I saw all the locomotives on the Metra roster except for 210. I literally caught myself in my sleep repeatedly saying, "Where's Twotenny? Where's my baby?" It was the fear of losing 210 that was destroying me. And on Wednesday, April 22nd, 2015, at approximately 10 a.m., a heavy feeling suddenly swept through my body. It was the feeling that 210 would be okay. When the feeling dissipated, all of a sudden I felt okay once again. A few hours later, I paid a visit to the Breakthrough Women's Center and milepost 3.7 and 3.82 along the Union Pacific Geneva sub, which is where I first saw METX 210 in June 2011. My intuition led me to visit this place. I was greeted with hugs and waves from old friends. And later on that day, I found out the reason. In a Facebook group that I'm a member of, someone posted a picture of 210 at Ashburn Station from April 21st, the day before. Plus, it was running so low. I was overcome with shock. I did not expect Twotenny to have rebounded so quickly after so many people said that it was in a position of being on life support, and after 2 catastrophic failures. In late August 2015, more problems plagued Twotenny, and they were of a whole different ballpark. On the morning of August 24, 2015, 210 suffered a water pump explosion in 14th Street Yard. I did not find out about it until later that day, but soon before it happened, I posted a tweet on Twitter that said, "Good morning, Sweet Pea," in reference to Twotenny. And for some odd reason, I felt wrong about doing so. And when I got word of the incident, I knew why I felt that way. Even stranger, I felt a negative feeling towards Twotenny when I saw it on Thursday, August 18th, 2015, and on Saturday, August 20th, 2015. I sensed its approaching mechanical problems a few days before they occurred. As a result of 210's water pump failure, I experienced back and head pain on the day that it happened, and the following morning, I awoke with a bad sinus infection and a complete loss of appetite. As 210 remains in distress, I remained in distress with it. Distress, I mean. The sinus infection worsened. I experienced blocked eustachian tube in both ears, but thankfully not at the same time. I even caught myself asking for Twotenny in my sleep. In early September, I noticed my emotions, behavior, and physical problems lightening up. It was around that time that the new water pump for METX 210 had arrived and was installed. On Friday, September 11, 2015, I caught 210 leading a train solo on the Southwest service line. Its problems were fixed, and so were mine. On Saturday, December 26, 2015, I caught METX 210 nearby at Sunny Fifth and Racine, not once, but twice. The second time, I saw that it had the famous cab car, METX number 8473, leading, heading inbound. Later that day, I asked those in the know about which inbound Southwest service line trip from Manhattan, Illinois, that 210 would be on come Monday morning. After I got my answer, I made plans to see 8473 and 210, and hear 8473's horn and bell as Twotenny pushed it through the gateless crossing near Columbus Avenue at Norfolk Southern's Landers Yard. My intuition got involved in this. Something told me that if I did not keep my promise and go see 210 like I had planned to, there would be some serious consequences. The morning of Monday, December 28, 2015 arrived. I woke up around 5 a.m. to get ready to see Twotenny with 8473. I got dressed and was about to head out, but when I saw the current weather conditions, I decided to stay indoors and forget about going to see 210 and 8473. I went back to sleep and woke up at around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I didn't have anything to do that day anyway, and it was a lazy day for me. The first thing I did was pick up my phone, check my many notifications, and check my many notifications on Facebook. And as the admin of the Metra Rail group on Facebook, I checked the new posts and make sure that everything was in accordance with the group rules. The first post I saw was that the 12:35 p.m. Southwest service line departure from Union Station had struck a vehicle at the grade crossing at 87th Street and Pulaski Road. I looked at the comments section. I couldn't believe it. The train was led by METX 210 and METX 122. I didn't know what kind of vehicle 210 struck at first because that area sees a high amount of truck traffic, so that's why I walked to the door of my room and covered my face with both hands as I leaned on the door. I was in disbelief, shock, and also a ton of guilt. And I said to myself, "Oh no, my baby." And this is all my fault. If only I would have did what I said I would do, this probably wouldn't have happened. My biggest fear was that 210 hit a truck due to the fact that the crossing sees a high amount of semi-truck traffic. I later found out that it hit a car with about 5 or 6 people inside. The impact of 210 striking the car sent it slamming into a signal relay box, and that disrupted the evening rush on the Southwest Service line. One person in the vehicle, aged 20, was killed when 210 struck it. A second person, aged 18, died in the 6 p.m. hour. A 3-year-old boy who was in the car suffered a broken pelvis when 210 struck it. And there is a lot of numerology involved in this accident. The date of the accident, the ages of the people who died in the accident, the zip code where they lived, and the engines which struck the car they were in. I mean, it's spooky. And let's start with the date, 12/28/2015. In its relation to the locomotives, 210 and 122. I mean, the accident played in my head at least once a day, every day, until I figured out the connection between the date and the numbers of the engines. In the day 12/28, ignore the 1 and focus on the 2 and the 28. Add 2 and 8 and you get 10. Put the 10 by the 2. 210. 210 was the lead locomotive. It was the one that struck the car. 122 was the engine behind 210. For the date 12/28, all you have to do is ignore the 8 to see the number 122. That's how the engine numbers relate to the date of the accident. Also, the Southwest Service Line train number that 210 and 122 were on when they struck the car was train 815. I've always wondered when METX 210 would be rebuilt. I got my answer with that accident. The first person who died in the accident was 20 years old, and the second person who died was 18 years old. The hidden clue? 2018. METX 210 will be 25 years old in October 2017 and 26 years old in October 2018. Its useful life is 25 years. The rebuild program for Metra's Winnebagos is ongoing. At the moment, F40 PHM-2s, 188, 209, and a few others are getting rebuilt by Progress Rail, a subsidiary of Electromotive Diesel. Now, the 2 people killed in the accident were from my current area, the current area that I reside in. That being the Inglewood neighborhood on the south side of Chicago. One was from my current zip code of 60636. The other was from neighboring zip code 60621. Both contain the number 21, which is 210 without a 0. 21 is clearly seen in zip code 60621, but it's not as obvious in 60636. And here's how to get 21 from that. 6 plus 0 plus 6 plus 3 plus 6 equals 21. And there you go. Another connection. The accident happened 26 days after I moved back to the 60636 zip code. METX 210 serial number ends in 26. I last saw METX 210 on December 26, 2015, which was the 2-year anniversary of when I decided to become spiritually betrothed to it. That day being December 26, 2013. And when I moved back to the 60636 zip code, I noticed that many people were giving me dirty looks. I don't know why, but after Twotenny's accident on 12/28/2015, the dirty looks suddenly stopped. It's strange. It is very strange, but neither am I or METX 210 directly to blame for the accident. On August 28, 2017, I realized another connection with this accident. The last name of the 2 people killed when METX 210 struck their vehicle was Kemp, K-E-M-P. Metra happens to have a locomotive with Kemp on both sides of its cab, that being METX 105, the James Kemp unit. Do the math. 105 plus 105 equals 210. 105 is half of 210. And speaking of the number 105, the accident occurred on 12/28/15, just after 1 o'clock p.m. And it would not shock me if it happened at 1:05 p.m. Now, remove the 0 from 105 and you will be left with 15, which was the last two numbers of the year that the accident happened in, 2015. Okay, and this wasn't the final time that 210's mechanical problems greatly affected me. Between the months of March and June 2016, 210 repeatedly experienced loading problems. The issues began in March 2016 when 210 was in motor power for one of the 3 weekday morning rush hour trains that originate at Brookfield on the BNSF line. The issues I experienced as a result of 210's loading problems were irritability, lethargy, and numerous body aches. 210 improved in late June 2016, but when I rode with it to and from Orland Park on June 30th, 2016, I felt its issues trying to reoccur, and this literally traumatized me to the point that I vomited not long after I returned home that day. The last time that anything involving 210 made me throw up was back on December 28th, 2015, when it was involved in that grade crossing accident at 87th Street and Pulaski Road. I drew up 3 times on the night of that accident, and I don't know why, even to this day. I mean, 210 was fine, and I was aware of that later on, but I still drew up 3 times as a result of 210 being involved in the accident. Now, mechanical problems isn't the only way that Metra 210 affects me physically and emotionally. Now, whenever 210 is nearby, whether on the approach or stationary, my body tends to get numb. And whenever my body gets numb, that means a spirit of some kind is nearby. With that said, it's proof that I'm picking up on some sort of spiritual energy that's within 210. Numerous people have said that there is a spiritual connection between METX 210 and I, and this serves as proof of it. The feeling usually diminishes on its own when 210 arrives or is by me, but it sometimes reoccurs. Emotionally, I could experience the most down emotions, but as soon as I see 210, I slowly slip into a punch-drunk, sedated state, or it seems, and a smile is often seen on my face for hours. I mean, nothing in this world makes me happy as fast as the sight of 210 does, and nothing keeps me happy for as long as the sight of 210 does. And I can be around many other locomotives. I only experience that numb feeling when METX 210 is nearby. I also experience that numb feeling when riding with METX 210, and it has happened numerous times. Now, earlier this year, in 2017 that is, I noticed that mentioning METX 210 when I have pain literally relieves the pain. This is how. I softly say something about 210 and about not wanting my physical ailments transferring over to it and becoming its mechanical ailments since the reverse happens to me. Now, I haven't noticed METX 210 experience any mechanical problems as a result of me experiencing physical problems, but because it's the other way around, 210's problems becoming my physical problems, I don't want to take any chances. And the first time I did this, when I had some terrible menstrual cramps, the pain suddenly went away. And for the remainder of the menstruation period I experienced, no more pain. The second time I did it, when I had a headache, I literally felt the pain melt away. And that was as a result of not taking any pain relieving pills. Now, for all of the naysayers out there, as I said, this occurs without me taking any pain relievers, like ibuprofen or muscle joint cream. So explain that. To be honest, I sometimes feel selfish for doing this because I feel like I'm taking advantage of the positive results. But it's better to be safe than sorry because I don't want the effects possibly boomeranging back to me and making me feel worse. As many people know by now, the spiritual connection that I have with METX 210 is more than that. It is a marriage, and a platonic but happy one too. In 2013, after I discovered the many ties between us, my fondness for METX 210 shot up, and the gut instinct to become spiritually engaged and married to 210 came about. But I was reluctant to do so because that's a locomotive and I'm a human being. I decided to do it, and many great things came my way. On June 1st, 2017, I acknowledged being in this platonic spiritual marriage with METX 210 for 3 years. And before I did so, I purchased a third ring and had it engraved with the words Baroness Anne and METX 210. And here's how things unfolded. In late March 2017, I looked at diamond rings to get an idea of which one I should consider as a 5-year anniversary ring come June 1st, 2019. And the universe had other plans for my life. On the morning of April 5th, 2017, my left middle finger, right here, twist and tingle in the exact same spot where I planned to get what would be the 3rd anniversary ring. And just for fun, I went to the gematrix.org website and calculated the phrase middle finger anniversary ring. The simple gematria numerical value was 300. That number looked familiar to me for some reason, so I calculated some phrases that I've calculated in the past, and to my surprise, the phrase Baroness Anne and METX 210, 210 spelled TWOTEN, also equals 300 in simple gematria, and I was shocked. The words I wanted engraved in a middle finger anniversary ring were agreed upon by the esoteric science of gematria. Also equaling 300 in simple gematria happens to be the phrase Metra's greatest locomotive. That, in my view, happens to be METX 210. And here's the ring, right here. If it can be seen, that's what I had engraved. Well, I plan to have it engraved. There you go. That's why I plan to have it engraved and gematria grieve. And This happened to be very significant in the case of numerology because this was the third and final ring I got to honor my spiritual marriage to Twotenny. And the ring honored the 3-year anniversary of the marriage to 210. And June 17, the 6th month of the year, made it 6 years that METX 210 has been in my life physically. Although the marriage to METX 210 is a platonic spiritual marriage, it hasn't hindered unwise, narrow-minded, sick-minded foamers from thinking that I have a sexual attraction to Twotenny, nor has it hindered them from spreading that false shit. Why would I, a human being, view a locomotive in any kind of sexual manner, regardless of how much I love it, how much it means to me, and how deep of a connection that it has in my life? Why? I can, and I only prefer to view another human being in any sexual manner. Another thing, if I ever did have a sexual attraction to METX 210, guess what? I wouldn't be denying it, because as an adherent of my Triple T, I am not to lie about anything unless it's a joke, or unless I'm trying to keep somebody from harm or whatever. But anyway, generally I wouldn't do that. I mean, I've even confessed to committing a crime when I was only 5 years old, and having sexual fantasies with wolf aliens that I wrote stories about back in 2008, due to my extreme honesty. Knowing this, if I ever had any kind of sexual attraction to METX 210, I would have confessed to it a long time ago instead of sitting here denying it. I already know, though, regardless of what I say and how many times I say it, there are still going to be those narrow-minded, unthinking foamers who will choose to believe the exact opposite of what I say and do whatever they can to tarnish and ruin my great reputation only because they don't have a great reputation. I know this. I know how jealousy works. They only want to give me a bad name in any way they possibly can because they hate that someone gets much more positive attention than they do, and deservedly so. Those hateful, miserable, attention-craving assholes don't deserve to get more positive attention than those who are the exact opposite and only follow the rules. And these same damn people intentionally misinterpret what I do or say or how I behave around METX 210 in order to give me a bad name. It doesn't matter what I said or did, or how or when I said or did it. It never indicated any sexual attraction to METX 210. And while I'm on it, I must say this. There are far more people out there who actually know that I've never had any so-called sexual attraction to METX 210 than there are those who wrongfully do think that sick, nasty shit. Another thing, if I had any kind of sexual attraction to METX 210, then it wouldn't be a platonic, nor would it be a spiritual connection. Something that more people are aware of versus those that aren't. So fuck you, you nasty-minded, miserable haters. Yes, I say it. Fuck you, anyone who thinks that. I mentioned that there's a strong possibility that METX 210 may possess some kind of spirit that maybe only I can pick up on. Why it has such a huge impact on me physically, emotionally, spiritually, and behaviorally. And why it has such a huge impact on my life in general. Remember, I first saw METX 210 at the 3330 address between milepost 3.82 and milepost 3.7 on the Union Pacific Geneva subdivision back in June 2011. There is a lot of numerology involved here, and it actually doesn't begin in June 2011, but over half a year before then. If you look at the number boards indicating the designated road numbers of each of Metra's F40 PHM-2 locomotives, you will notice that they reflect modern years. Like METX 191 represents the year that construction of the F40Ms began. METX 210 is, or maybe now was, one of two locomotives capable of operating along Metra's Union Pacific lines because they possess special cab signals. The other is METX 185, the first F40 PHM-2 built. Both were sent to the Metra UP lines in late 2010, but METX 210 stayed there much longer, about a year in comparison to a few weeks or so for METX 185. And this is significant because when you match the designated road numbers of the F40Ms to certain years, 185 is a mimic of 1985, while 210 is a mimic of 2010. 1985 happens to be the year that my grandfather, my mother's father, passed away. An aunt I spoke to recently told me that some of his last words were to his wife, my mother's mother. His last words were, "Take care of Louise." Louise is the name of my mother. On July 31st, 1986, at 6:07 p.m., Louise brought me into the world. And because METX 210 and METX 185 travel along the UP West line, they both pass by the 3330 address and mileposts 3.82 and 3.7 as they made their way to and from Elburn and Ogilvie. Before I met METX 210 there in June 2011. When I discovered a few months ago the esoteric link between METX 185 and my grandfather, it really made me think that METX 210 and I were indeed meant to be. Out of all the F40 PHM-2s that could have been equipped with special cab signals to operate on Metra's Union Pacific lines, why were the chosen ones 210 and 185? And this appears to be more of a fate thing. Pushing that was an event that happened during the final hours of my double 210 year of life on July 31st, 2015. And that's obtaining a full-form birth certificate to return to the 3330 address for a temporary stay there. Obtaining the birth certificate led to the discovery of my birth time of 6:07 p.m. And this led to discovery that the number 210 has been in my life right from birth, and also the discovery that I've had a connection to METX 210 right from birth. You need to use numerological formulas to find it. Because add the single digits and all the single digits in my full birth date, and you'll get 35. And multiply 35 by 6, and you'll get 210. In any year, when it comes to my birth time at 6:07 p.m., in any year from 1993 forward, there is a 6 to 7 year age gap between METX 210 and I. Between January 1st and much of my birthday of July 31st, we are 6 years apart in age. Beginning late on my birthday and lasting until late October, we are 7 years apart in age. And beginning in late October, when METX turns a new age and lasting until 6 or 7 p.m. on my next birthday, we are back to being 6 years apart in age. So during much of any year from 1993 forward, Metra 210 and I are 6 and 7 years apart in age. And this ties back into the date of my birth, because the result of 35 multiplied by 6 is 210. 35 being the resulting number of adding each of the single digit numbers in my date of birth. Obtaining that birth certificate in order to get back into Breakthrough Women's Center on 7/31/2015 led to this discovery. And by using esoteric sciences, it is the final puzzle piece to be used in proving that the number 210 is indeed my life number. And proving that locomotive Metra 210 and I are connected and always have been. Even though I was 6 years old when METX 210 came into the world in October 1992. In 1993, another 6-7 210 synchronicity piece occurred involving METX 210 and the number 210 and I. In early September 1993, I started first grade in room number 102 at John C. Cooley School near Irving Park Road in Levitt Street in Chicago's Ravenswood neighborhood. My teacher was Mrs. Garrison. Unlike the 5th grade classroom number 210 at Mary Mapes Dodge School, just steps from my childhood home, I remained in this classroom for a full school year. In October 1993, while in this classroom, METX 210 turned 1 year old. During METX 210's first year of life, I was 6 and 7 years old. The number of the classroom, 102, has the number 210 in it. Put the 2 in front of the 10 in 102, and you got 210. It was June 2004 that I heard from the old staff at Cooley School, including Mrs. Garrison. I was invited to a little party that they had one day in June 2004. I attended, and it was nice to see Mrs. Garrison once again. But about a couple weeks after I attended the party, tragedy struck. My grandmother passed away. Now, when I was a little girl, I remember my grandmother speaking very highly of me, saying that she saw a ton of potential in me. As the years went by, her prophecies continued and grew. According to an aunt, one of my grandmother's children, I was the one who gave my grandmother a run for her money, meaning that she met her match behavior-wise, because all of her previous grandkids appeared to be afraid of her. According to my aunt, my grandmother appears to be afraid of me. And there are reports that I even drew certain objects at Grandma. This may be why, or one reason why, Grandma saw such high potential in me. I got word that when she passed away in June 2004, some of her final words included, Barry, one of my nicknames when I was little, that being me, of course, was always my number one grandbaby. She said that she wanted the foster mother I had at the time to take care of my number one grandbaby. At the time of her passing, Grandma had 100 plus grandkids, great-grandkids and great-great-grandkids. But I was the one that she referred to as her number one. Also, her telling someone to take care of me mimics what her late husband told her. He said, take care of Louise when he was dying. And I am Louise's child. My grandmother told my foster mother in June 2004 to take care of me. My grandfather said, take care of Louise in 1985. Louise, my mother, was 19 going on 20 years of age when she had me. In June 2004, 19 years after my grandfather passed away, my grandmother, his wife, told someone to take care of me, Louise's daughter. My grandmother seeing much potential in me from when I was a little girl says a lot when it comes to my equations with my life number 210. If you may recall, one of the things that I equate with the number is limitless potential. Here's what she has in common with locomotive METX 210. She is an irreplaceable, inimitable life stamp for me. Nothing and no one can ever take the place of either her nor METX 210 in my life. This leads us to the next segment of the Twotenny and I 4 video, and this one is huge. Now, I said that my grandmother saw a lot of potential in me, even when I was a very little girl. Some of that high potential showed in late August 1995, when I, at just the unripe age of 9 years old, created a world peace theory based on watching the freight and Metra trains which passed my home. I call it T3, also known as Triple T, or the train theory. I don't recall ever referring to it as this when I created or after I did so, but I knew it as a world peace theory modeled after trains. After being affected so much by the horrible ongoings in the world that I attempted suicide 3 times, not long after I turned 9. All 3 suicide attempts, pillow smothering, sheet strangling, and neck breaking from a high jump, all failed miserably. When I felt the need to make myself happy once again after experiencing what I would describe as a traumatic culture shock, and nothing else other than watching the trains which traveled past my home. The emotional relief was almost instant. Things improved for the better after I created the train theory. And when I created it, I remembered that my mind was like sort of racing because so much was going through my mind as I looked at trains and equated them with us human beings. Trains are created using a chain of rail cars and motor power. You need 2 or more rail cars, or 2 or more engines, or a minimum of 1 of each to make a train. How do you make them into a train? By first connecting them by the knuckle, also known as a drawbar. The knuckle of a rail car or a locomotive is analogous to the human hand. I envisioned the rail cars and engines as individual human beings. This envision led to the phrase, a united world. This phrase is similar to the phrase that I came up with after I reaccepted my Triple T in September 2008, but did not use until after that point. The phrase being, humans are the rail cars of a train known as human society, but unlike a train, we resemble disconnected rail cars that aren't trying to make any attempts to reconnect. When I created the train theory, I saw 3 main solutions to achieve and maintain world peace, each one inspired by the trains which traveled by my home. Remember, I was only 9 years old when I did this. 1. Either we respect one another's cultures and religions that was inspired by each rail car of each train. 2. We have only 1 universal culture, 1 universal religion, and 1 universal system of government, inspired by each rail car of each train coming together to form that one train. Or 3, we have no religions and no cultures at all, and that's inspired by the same as number 2. These were the top methods to achieving and maintaining world peace, and there are 2 groups of my Triple T, the original Triple T and the revised Triple T. Original T3 consists of 20 parts that were created in late August 1995, while revised T3 consists of 12 parts that were created after I reaccepted T3 in September 2008. Each of the 12 parts has a link to 1 or more parts of the original T3. And creation of the revised Triple T ran from September 2008 to April 2010. The reason why it took so long is because I spent much more time trying to remember all 20 parts of the original T3 than coming up with new stuff. And T3 is a very huge part of the intertwined knot involving METX 210 and number 210 and I. And before I met Twotenny in June 2011, it was just me and my T3. In June 2011, I wasn't a fan of trains, but wanting to see Twotenny again after seeing it the first time led me to become a fan of trains once again, or a born-again rail fan, as I sometimes refer to myself as. One of the nicknames that I gave METX 210 is the symbol of my rail fan rebirth. This led to the belief that Twotenny is the confirmer of T3 being my life purpose, because as a fan of trains again, I will not forget T3, which was completely inspired by watching trains. As mentioned earlier, or I don't think I did mention it, one reason why METX 210 is in my life is to keep me in check with my life purpose, which happens to be my world peace doctrine, T3, aka Triple T, short for the train theory. And when I suddenly lost my fondness for trains in November 1997, I left my T3 vulnerable. It finally waned away in late 2001, early 2002. And on January 8, 2002, I completely drew it out of my life due to being stressed out by many happenings in the world and in my personal life. There is a lot of linkage between METX 210, number 210, and my train theory world peace doctrine. There are a lot of interesting numerological links involved. And because numerology and geometry have a high accuracy rate in this deep connection, the findings were a huge shock. And I'm going to start with the number 92 and its implications. And when I created the train theory in late August 1995, I was 9 years old and METX 210 was 2 years old. About 2 years and 10 months old. When I drew away my train theory on January 8, 2002, I was 15 years old and METX 210 was 9 years old. About 9 years and 2 months old. A little over it based on a birth date that I gave to Twotenny. When I reaccepted my train theory on September 2nd, 2008, I was 22 years old, and METX 210 was 15 years old, going on 16. Remember, METX 210 was built in October of the year 1992. And I started 5th grade in room 210 at Mary Mapes Dodge School on September 2nd, 1997. When I left that classroom for the very last time in late October 1997, METX 210 had turned 5 years old. I mean, it's very obvious that there is a link between my Triple T doctrine and I, and METX 210 just by looking at the synchronicities involving the number 92. Oh boy. I don't have to mention that part. Let's see. I don't have to mention that part. Oh shit, I need to stretch. God damn it. Oh shit. For me not mentioning this, I'll be almost doing. Now, we enter the next segment of the video, that being the 3 parts of my train theory that are similar to what I equate with the number 210. The first piece to be covered and explained is having much intelligence, or better yet, wisdom, which is on a much higher level than just plain old intelligence. This part of original Triple T from late August 1995 was inspired by the locomotives of the freight and Metra trains which passed my home, because locomotives, when I was creating Triple T, represented everything superior and important, and wisdom happened to be one of the things. Not just wisdom, but having a lot of it. This relates to a recent something that I realized about the number 210. Number 210 represents an increase in knowledge, an increase in a capless amount of knowledge. There is no such thing as having too much knowledge. And don't you dare let anyone feed your head with the opposite, because the opposite is not true. The more you know, the more you will understand the world that you live in. Something to always keep in mind is the fact that everything you learn in elementary and high school and college is nowhere near being everything that is to be learned about things in this world. Probably nowhere near being even 2% of it. The next piece is having good health. When I created Triple T, the trains as a whole inspired this piece because trains represented strength and stability. This doesn't mean physical health, although it's optional. What this means is emotional and psychological health, because these are actually the most important. Because whatever hardships life throws at you, you can bounce back and ride it out. The number 210 connection? Look at the individual numbers of 210. 2. Acknowledge and fight your obstacles. 1. Overcome them. 0. Continue achieving success after getting past the hardships. Now, physical health would be good for this, but when it comes to setbacks such as homelessness and job loss, the mental and emotional are more important, because they are more likely to lead you onto the path of recovery. Yeah. Remember, your mindset says everything. A positive mindset fights and overcomes hardships, while a negative mindset allows bad things to happen and seeks to blame others for them happening instead of trying to seek solutions that will improve matters. Now, this leads to the third and final piece of my old T-Tree that has a link to what I associate with number 210. That piece is being on top and doing your very best. It was inspired by the same as the last piece because trains represented everything strong and superior when I created the train theory. Whatever life throws at you, you can conquer it by having a positive mindset, never giving up, and forever striving for the number 1 spot and beyond. This has a lot in common with some of my equations with the number 210, including the phrase, rise to the top. And this relates to the empowerment phrase given to Triple T after I readopted it, which I mentioned earlier. And that is, if you've forgotten, charge hard, never die, bring on the brutality, and come see the light. Now, when I created T-Tree, and when I reaccepted into my life in 2008, never in my wildest dreams did I think that a train engine would have so much influence on my life. Another thing, as mentioned earlier, or I think I did mention, Triple T is my life purpose, and Twotenny being in my life is helping keep me in check with it, to make sure that I never forget it again. Remember, METX 210 led to my resurgence in my love for trains. When I created T3 in 1995, I was a huge fan of trains. My fondness for trains simply died after I left classroom number 210 at Mary Mapes Dodge School in November 1997. In 2001, me following T3 had died off and completely died off in early 2002. Okay, now, I just want to jump to something. I need to really say something, and under no circumstances do I give a fuck about offending the starters and the spreaders of the false rumor, nor any of the stupid motherfuckers who choose to believe it. Fuck them. I don't care about offending them. Fuck them. Now, and I mentioned this earlier, but I'm going to say it again. Now, the false rumor I'm talking about is a terribly false rumor that some stupid, unthinking foamers thought, and still think, and decided to spread, that I have a sexual attraction to locomotive METX 210, and even masturbate to thoughts of the engine. Like seriously, why the fuck would I even want to do that shit? 210 is a locomotive. I am a human being. I can only have a sexual attraction to another human being, or just myself, and that's what I've been doing ever since I became curious when I was 9 years old, going on 10. I mean, I'm a proudly bisexual person. I mean, I'm attracted to cocks, balls, and tits, and I love them. Now, I think these stupid ass false allegations about me having a sexual attraction to METX 210 and masturbating to thoughts of it all began with something I said in one of the videos I uploaded to YouTube back in mid-2013. Regardless of what I said or did in regards to Twotenny, it never meant what any of these stupid, sick-minded foamers thought. Obviously, these motherfuckers are just too stupid and cloudy-minded to realize that there is a very small percentage of things in this world that have just one meaning. Nothing I said or did regarding METX 210 meant what any of those nasty, sick-minded bitches said or thought it did. If I actually did have any kind of sexual attraction to Twotenny, like I said earlier, I would have flat out mentioned that shit a long time ago instead of sitting here denying it. Because that's the super honest person that I am. And you can blame me choosing to follow my old train theory, which calls for no lying, for that. In addition to this, there are many more people out there who know for a fact that I don't and never ever have had any stupid ass sexual attraction to METX 210. Then there are people who believe the bullshit lie, which was started and spread only by attention-loving, fake-ass, jealous foamers who are only out to fuck up someone's reputation only because they have a bad reputation or just want to be popular. I mean, there are even people who have never ever even met me or don't know me very well personally who know that that shit is a fucking big ass flat out lie. I mean, these false allegations are one reason out of several why I often rail fan alone, and why I now refuse to attend any major rail fanning events. I mean, it's just so sad that our society is so obsessed with sex and sexual things that the most small-minded people will put sexual labels on something in which any type of sexual intercourse or any other kind of sexual activity has absolutely no implications whatsoever. A something happens to be my fondness of locomotive METX 210. This is a strictly platonic, emotionally driven, spiritual connection. If there was any kind of sexual activity involved in this thing, then guess what? It would not be platonic. It would not be a spiritual connection. And it would not be emotionally driven. And that includes masturbating to thoughts of it. If that was true, then this would not be that type of connection. I mean, I'm seriously, that also would make this not a platonic spiritual connection. Something that a growing number of people realize that it is. But apparently, these stupid ass foamers don't know what a spiritual connection is. Apparently, these stupid ass foamers don't know the difference between platonic love and platonic marriage. And a marriage or relationship in which sex is involved. Apparently, these stupid ass formers don't know what separates the actions of an emotional person from those of a person whose actions are sexual. And this is one of the many reasons why I keep to myself and don't associate with many people. Yeah, so if I offended any of you stupid ass formers, fuck you, I don't care. Okay, now that we've gotten off of METX 210 for a little bit, let's go back to things involving the number 210. Now, earlier, when I was talking about San Antonio and the San Antonio area code, I mentioned the month of October. So how would you like to know that the month of October contains a lot of 210 dates? Now, you have to be very good in numerology like I am to figure it out. I will give a rundown of all the 210 dates that occur in October, along with an explanation of how they are 210 dates. As everything else that is mentioned in this video, this will be pretty deep. These are the 210 dates of October. 10-2, October 22nd. 10-10. 10-12. 10-20. 10-21. Yep, there are some other 210 dates in October, in the month of October. Yeah, I don't normally consider these 210 dates, but them are fun, and then you can make these 210 dates right here. Now, it's very ironic that with all these 210 dates during the month of October, METX 210 was built in the month of October. I designated October 30th as METX 210's birthday. Not exactly its birthday like us humans, but the possible day on which construction of Twotenny was finished and it was determined ready for the rails. Now, beginning around the 20th of October, according to astrology, is the zodiac sign, which happens to have a lot of links to METX 210 and the number 210. That is the Scorpio zodiac sign. And there's a strong possibility that METX 210 may have been completed under the Scorpio zodiac sign, since, according to a website I ran across which listed the build dates of each of the Metra F40 PHM-2s, it probably took about a week to finish building each one. As mentioned a few minutes ago, as mentioned earlier, 3 F40Ms were built in October 1992, while 2 were built November 1992. 210 was last to be built in October 1992. 211 was first to be built in November 1992. And knowing this, there's a damn good possibility that Twotenny was completed during the Scorpio zodiac. But check out this amazing lake. The Scorpius zodiac, the Scorpius constellation, begins around the 210th degree mark on the zodiac pane. And pretty ironic, huh? Now, back in 2009, I did some research to determine which of the 12 zodiac signs that my overall behavior corresponds to the most. Because I was born on July 31st, I'm designated as a Leo, according to astrology, but based on my overall behavior. And you can blame my triple T for this. No zodiac sign relates to me better than the Scorpio zodiac sign. Leo doesn't come anywhere close. And a little over a year ago, I discovered that I was conceived during Scorpio. Because I was born in late July and a human gestation period is 9 months, I had to have been conceived in late October of 1985 during the Scorpio zodiac, and probably around what is designated as Twotenny's birthday. I noticed a while back that some of my behavior that is attributed to a Scorpio zodiac is all thanks to me following my T3. And I mean, it also matches some of my personal attributes of the number 210. And speaking of number 210, according to numerology, number 0, seen at the end of 210, is ruled by the planet Pluto, which is also the ruler of the Scorpio zodiac sign. So the ruler of the number 0 is Scorpio. Yeah, it's pretty deep, huh? Having a lot in common with me, my old train theory doctrine, number 210 and METX 210, is the darkest zodiac sign. The darkest constellation. Scorpio. Now, speaking of signs and symbols, there are a few that I associate with the number 210. All of them are ancient esoteric symbols, and all of them, unfortunately, are considered satanic thanks to these fallacious, brainwashing, mind-controlling, mind-hijacking, fucking man-made religions. Those symbols are the lemniscate, also known as the infinity symbol, the phoenix bird, and the Ouroboros. I will explain their hidden connections to number 210, starting with the infinity symbol. Now, the number 0 represents endless possibilities, no limitations, no boundaries. According to my view, in the number 210, it means all of these things, in addition to being unstoppable and a limitless amount of life's most important things, such as happiness and prosperity and wisdom. The number 0 is also represented by infinity. Infinite, or infinite, however you pronounce, means no limits. Finite means there is a limit. Now look at the infinity symbol. Not only is it known as the lazy 8, but also a twisted 0. Remember the rise to the top phrase that I gave to number 210? The top is one's personal choice on how far they want to go along the road of success and prosperity and happiness and knowledge, because the sky is the limit, and it's known to have no limitations. That's why in 2016 I made a bracelet with 210 number charms, infinity symbol beads, and the words no limits. In 2017, as mentioned earlier, I dedicated this bracelet to President Trump, even though I'm sure he didn't see it, probably didn't give a damn, because he is a prime example of what I equate with the 0 in number 210. As mentioned earlier, from average Joe to billionaire, and from billionaire to President of the United States of America, the prosperity was added on. Now, why do I associate the phoenix bird with number 210? And I just mentioned it, the rise to the top phrase of number 210. The phoenix bird is a mythological bird that has been said to set itself on fire and then rise from the ashes. Being on fire and going out represents the 2 of 210. Reappearing represents the 1 of 210, and rising from the flames to points unknown represents the 0 of 210. And this is why I associate the phoenix with this great and powerful number. It's a great mascot for many other things I associate with number 210. Now lastly, the Ouroboros. Why do I associate this ancient esoteric symbol with the number 210? Well, it happens to have the same characteristics as the phoenix and the infinity symbol, which is representing rebirth and no limitations. So pretty much, it is a merger of those two symbols. Because of that, I tend to use it more often to represent number 210. Now, staying on the subject of symbols, why do I use the endless knot to represent the deep link between METX 210, number 210, me, and my triple T? Now, this should be easy. The endless knot is best described as a bunch of intertwined squares. And because there are so many things that link me, my triple T, Metra 210, and number 210, this whole ball of links is like an intertwined knot. It's unbreakable, it's unstoppable, it's inseparable, and it's forever. It is indeed endless. Now, let's move on to another subject involving symbols, and it involves the terribly misunderstood Baphomet. I have always, since 2015, felt pushed to get a tattoo of the number 210 on my upper left arm on the date of January 20th, 120. I didn't know why until after I got it in 2017. 120, January 20th, in every single year is a full 3 weeks or 21 days before February 10th, 210. And on January 26, 2017, a few days after I got the tattoo, something overcame me. I had realized something. The number 210 is also a number representing limitless wisdom and spiritual enlightenment. And because of the connection between my train theory and the number 210, it finally made more sense to me why I, out of the blue in late 2009, made the phrase, "Come see the light," the slogan of my train theory. Now, this realization caused me to acknowledge and appreciate the Baphomet even more than I initially did. Although its meaning is debated, with some people, mainly those manipulated religious nutcases, saying that it's a symbol of Satan worship, the real meaning of Baphomet is a complex symbol which represents wisdom and spiritual enlightenment. And the famous phrase that's reiterated in occult and spiritual circles, as above, so below. Baphomet is a hermaphroditic human-goat hybrid which represents only positive and innocent things. He may look scary, and there's no doubt about that. It's just that he isn't truly scary, and neither are the things that he represents. Now, there's another famous something that's been wrongly associated with negative material throughout history, and like Baphomet, it has a connection of its own with the number 210. That famous something happens to be fellow triple-digit number 666. And the number 666 also has a deep presence in the connection between METX 210 and I through the number 6. 666 just consists of 3 sixes. Now, 210 divided by 6 equals 35. Do it 3 times. Now, add those up, and you will get 105, which is half of 210. Again. Do it again. Add those up, and you will get a second 105. Add up both 105s, and 105 plus 105 equals 210. And this is how I found out that 666 has a link to the number 210. Apparently, Metra agrees with this and the Baphomet connection to number 210. Take a look right here. All 40s equal 156 in simple gematria, according to the gematrix.org website. So in this esoteric science, there is definitely a connection. Now I will mention the ties between the numbers 666 and Metra 210. Remember, all ties occur through the number 6. Now, locomotive Metra 210 has 3 6s in its serial number. Locomotive Metra 210 was 6 and 7 years of age during the year 1999. The year in which the 9 is reversed would make 666. I was 6 years old when METX 210 was built. It was 6 years old when I left my childhood home on December 11th, 1998. And it was still 6 years old when I discovered the sport of horse racing, which I equate with the number 210 due to how the races are run. And that was mentioned earlier. METX 210, built in 1992. I left my childhood home 6 years later, in 1998. 6 years later, 2004, my grandmother passed away. 6 years later, in 2010, METX 210 was put on a Metra UP West line, which is where I met it in 6/2011. In 6/2011, I met METX 210. Its age was 18 at the time. 6 plus 6 plus 6 equals 18. My age was 24. 2 plus 4 equals 6. Now, 6/2011, again, I first met METX 210. 2012, I created my second and most successful YouTube channel, named after METX 210, and that happens to be this one. 6/2013, I discovered deeper links between METX 210 and I. In 6/2014, I became spiritually married to METX 210. Now, something to remember. 666 is just another number. It can do no harm to anyone. It is a notorious, feared, offensive, terribly misunderstood number, all thanks to manipulative, controlling religions such as Christianity. Now that I mention it, I will expose some very interesting gematria links. And every single one of those phrases equal 2 and 10 in simple gematria. It is something that I hope and pray happens because the world needs spirituality, not religion. Religion has done nothing but kept humanity in the dark, unenlightened, limited, and warring against one another. It has done more harm than good, and it continues to do so. It is time for religion to go. Completely, forever. When studying the occult even deeper, a little over a year ago, I came across British occultist Aleister Crowley's view of the number 210. When I looked at them initially, they appear to be very negative. This caused me to develop a negative view of Crowley. Now, in the early evening hours of 7/26/2017, I decided to re-explore Aleister Crowley's views of number 210 it was an early, I forgot to change that. In the early evening hours of 7/27/2017, I decided to re-explore Aleister Crowley's views of number 210 after seeing a tweet on Twitter mentioning him the day before, and when I did, I was in for a rude awakening. I realized that I terribly misinterpreted Crowley's views of the number 210 when I first saw them, because when I looked at them a second time, I realized that these views are positive and not negative, as I initially thought. Not only was it revealed to me that his views of number 210 were actually positive, his views of number 210 matched some of my views of the number 210. And I was shocked. When I saw it, I thought, man, I owe this dude a huge apology. And here's the positivity. In his book, 777, and other Kabbalistic writings of Aleister Crowley, Crowley refers to the number 210 as this, and I quote, 210, upon this holiest number, it is not fitting to dilate, end quote. According to Crowley, 210 is the holiest number, meaning the most sacred, the most divine. Often, in my promotion of the positive aspects of number 210, I refer to it as the greatest triple-digit number known to man. The greatest triple-digit number, and the most powerful triple-digit number known to man. Crowley read my mind long before I was born. In his book titled The Book of Lies, Crowley appears to associate the number 210 with spiritual rebirth and awakening. And does that sound familiar? Remember, about a week after I got my number 210 tattoo, I discovered that the number 210 also represents limitless knowledge, endless wisdom, and spiritual awakening and enlightenment. And thank you, Mr. Crowley, for agreeing with me decades before I came into the world. Now, this isn't the first time that someone's views of the number 210 have matched mine, and I later found out about it. According to numerologist Bill Heydrich, in Hebrew Metra, the number 210 means some Hebrew words, but I can't write Hebrew, unfortunately. So I wrote them down, so I was saying. This is what number 210 in Hebrew equates to according to Bill Heydrich. Now, to break through or away, quickly gliding, to bind, string together, to unite, to be allied. Now that relates a lot to the humans are the rail cars of a train called human society and a united world, part of my old train theory. And to ascend, to go up, remember to rise. And also to sink down. Remember the reverse, 210, 012. Now that is pretty deep. And when I discovered that page, I was shocked. I thought, man, I was spot on again when it came to my personal views of the number 210. Someone else agrees. Now, there may be symbols that I equate with number 210, but there is also a sound, and it often impacts the human spirit. It is music, but not just any old music. It is the genre of club and dance music, known as trance music. When I began to study numerology in 2013, I thought of the number 210 and my associations with it, along with the tempo of most trance tunes, and I saw a pretty strong correlation. The up and down tempo of many trance songs, especially those in the uplifting trance area, relates to the rise of number 210. If someone were with me and decided to listen to any trance song that I listened to, I could immediately tell that person in what area a certain part of that song is in. Whether it's in the 2 area, the 1 area, or the 0 area. Most of the songs will begin in the 2 area and then rise to the 0 area before going back to the 2 area and back to the 0 area before going back to and finishing at the 2 area. It's pretty much like this. As you can see, that's how the tempo of most trance songs relate to the number 210 right here. Now, after I discovered numerology surrounding the number 210, I thought of my personal associations with it and thought, if any music genre would perfectly describe my views of the number 210, it would be none other than trance music, especially uplifting trance music. This is the final segment of the Twotenny and I 4 video. Now, I thank you all for watching and listening. Now, on Thursday, July 20th, 2017, after returning home from spending time with friends in Orland Park and some favorite Southwest Service Line conductors, I got word that Chester Bennington, the lead singer of Linkin Park, one of my most favorite bands, was found dead in his home. And the news devastated me. It ruined my day. It really wrecked me. I mean, I follow Linkin Park and have been a fan of the band since not too long after its creation. And I've always loved many of the band's songs. So Bennington's death was like the death of a good friend to me. The following day, I went to Roosevelt and Canal to see METX 210. As soon as Twotenny popped up, my negative emotions began to melt away. All thanks to seeing Twotenny, I experienced no sadness, no anger, nor any other negative emotions while recuperating from Chester Bennington's untimely death. METX 210 is a super awesome tool for killing any and all negative emotions that I may experience. Another great example of this occurred on the morning of Monday, June 12, 2017, and oh by golly, what a magical day that was. Over the weekend, on Saturday, June 10th, 2017, my mother and I got into a devastating argument, all because she got angry because I said I will buy her some stupid ass $1 earrings that she wanted only when I remembered to do so, due to being so busy all the time with focusing on raking in extra money. Several times she cursed at me and even threatened to hit me. I mean, we may have had a rocky relationship for years, but I just couldn't believe the behavior that she demonstrated towards me over some stupid earrings that she doesn't even need. I mean, I was devastated and angry at how she treated me, but as soon as I saw Twotenny Monday morning, my negative emotions immediately melted away. And that's not all. As I awaited 210's return after it headed back out on the morning of June 12th, I unexpectedly met a staff member of Breakthrough Women's Center. While at Roosevelt and Canal, she said that she was heading to her other job, which was nearby. As we spoke and exchanged hugs, an outbound BNSF line train approached. She asked, "Is that your train?" "No," I said. "It's 119. 210 came out a little while ago, but it's on its way back." And later that morning, I went to Breakthrough to take something to a staff member there. When I got to the front door, I saw that the facility, which is where I first saw METX 210 in June 2011, was 25 years old. The exact same age that Twotenny was or turned in October of 2017. So this place was founded in 1992, the same year that Twotenny came into the world. After doing what I had to do, I went out to the back and looked at the spot where I first saw Twotenny. Soon after I did this, a loose Metra engine came up on the scene. The railroad employee on my side of the locomotive waved at me, and that made me nearly cry, because I've heard that some of the current employees on the Union Pacific West line still remember me from when I used to reside at Breakthrough. Now, a few days after I rode with METX 210 on April 3rd, 2017, and after tingling occurred in that exact same spot on my left middle finger, where I would have my anniversary ring situated, a wave of hatred, lies, and threats from foamers in the rail fan community were thrown at both me and Locomotive Metra 210. The lies and false rumors were spread amongst the rail fan community in order to wreck my reputation and give me a bad name. I mean, they even threatened to knock off Twotenny and me. I mean, that would later result in their downfall, because I recently got word that several, including those who started and spread the sick, revolting lie that I have a sexual attraction to METX 210, have been exposed and were found to be frauds. So look who won that battle. They tried to bring me down, and they did their best to do so. But at the end of the day, it was I who came out victorious, and still standing, and remaining unstoppable. What my life number, 210, represents. They couldn't stop nor defeat the 210, and they never ever will. The arcane story of METX 210 and I, which includes my old train theory, and is jointed through the number 210, is entirely separate from the railfan community because of its many intricacies. This is an intertwined knot, unlike any other, and nothing comes close in comparison. Twotenny and I, we have been referred to as the greatest story ever, involving a locomotive and a human being, for a reason, and for many reasons at that. And it shows. Thank you for watching and listening. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Goodbye.